Welcome to Impact Farming, where we introduce you to the people and ideas that will have a massive impact on your farming operation. Brought to you by Farm Marketer. Sit down, start the engine, and let's roll with today's show.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Impact Farming Show. I am your show host, Tracy Brunette. Excited to be back here doing a solo episode. So here we are, mid-June already, and as this goes out, moving towards the end of June. Time flies. I hope seeding's gone well for you, calving's gone well. What a year. Time is flying. Over the last, I'd say about a month or two, I've really changed focus a little bit off of succession planning and have been working with agriculture companies to spotlight their products and services. We have been doing a big focus on agriculture lending solutions, in particular with a company called Farm Lending Canada, who is there for when the banker says no. No matter what reason that is. And I was happy to have them on for a series of, I think I've done 3 of them already with them and 2 yet to come. And they're talking about their alternative lending solutions for when the banker says no. Why does the banker say no? Well, if you've hit on hard times and it's just the banker say no more, you can get in touch with Farm Lending Canada, which is important to know. I always thought there was a bit of a void in the financial marketplace because who do you see after the banker? Is there somebody else to help you? Now there is Farm Lending Canada. So if the banker says no because of bad times and they are just saying no, or in the case that you need to get money quick to jump on an opportunity, but they don't have time to process the application. If you are a young farmer looking to get started, and obviously chicken and an egg, you're just getting started, so you don't have financials, don't have backing. Farm Lending Canada is there to look at those opportunities with you as well. So really neat to be able to speak to them and showcase different solutions for farmers. We've also focused on some real estate land values with JP from Farm Credit Canada and Court Merrigan from the US. So some really cool episodes, some insurance, product spotlights on hybrid rye. It's been a really busy year and a fun couple months. So diving back into transition planning. As you guys know, I've said it a few times, starting to share my story a little bit here and there, but 7 years ago, going on season 8 in September, I started this show to bring the people and ideas that'll impact your farming operation. And of course, that's business, it's mental health, it is transition planning. But at the real root of it, my real why behind starting the Impact Farming Show was transition planning. I had seen stuff in our area with so many farm families where transition planning and lack of it has torn apart farm families and also just killed the family farm. And to me, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who loves the farming opportunity, the farming spirit, the ability to work the land, to do your thing. It's just such a legacy and it's important to me. And I know it's important to those in our audience. And as we are set to do the Great Wealth Transfer, I don't love that name. I want to call it the Big Farm Transfer. The Great Wealth Transfer makes me just think money grab a little bit too much. So why don't we say it this way? The Great Farm Transition Transfer, pardon me. All these farms, if they are in the ownership of the boomer generation, they need to transition in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And I still think, and stats prove it, that we don't have plans. And there are farm founders that want to do this. They really do, but they don't know where to start. There is Gen 2 that obviously wants to get farm transition planning going because they really want some skin in the game. They want some certainty on their future. And who likes to be left in limbo? right? It's just human nature. It's a very uncertain world, but we're always seeking the certainty that we can get. And I think if we're in a family farm operation, like Elaine Froese always says, clarity is kindness. Let's start these hard conversations, maintain family harmony, and keep the family farm going. I've always said there's enough against us in this industry with weather, with politics, policy, commodity prices going up and down, and then expenses, land prices, interest rates. We have enough going against us. We don't need to be our own worst enemy when it comes to the legacy of our family farm, when it could start with some vulnerability, which we all don't love that or that word, but honesty, just honest conversations. Hey, I want to transition this farm to you. I don't know what it looks like. I've said that in previous episodes. It's, I think, human nature, and especially, I guess, in that parental role, you want to be seen as you know what you're doing. So myself as a professional, I'm the same way. If I don't know what I'm talking about, I don't want to start that conversation. But here's the problem. If we don't start the conversation, conversations don't happen, then there is lack of clarity, causes confusion, causes family feuds, and we know the story. So I am fueled up, diving back into succession planning, among our other episodes that we're always doing, of course. But a few updates I wanted to give to you, just touch on the months gone by, the episodes we've done, where I'm at. I hope you're enjoying the episodes. I just love my role here, being able to talk to the greatest minds out there that have fantastic ideas, knowledge, boots on the ground. They've worked with farm families on their businesses. They're all here to help the farmer succeed, and that is my goal. You know what? I love the entrepreneurial spirit. As a business owner, a farmer myself, I love the family farm. I want to see it continue on. So that is what fuels me each and every week to create these episodes. Let's get information in your hands so you can start to do some research on your end, have the conversations, and let's keep the family farm going for another bunch of generations. That is my goal. So a few things that I want to talk about. 4 transition planning resources. Of course, I have a stack of books, more to read, some read, some in the works, individuals I'm interviewing, brushing up on their books. But I really want to center it around this piece of knowledge. I love Heather Venega's book, Protect Your Pack and Your Den, Steps to Successful Farm Succession Planning. I've had her on a bunch of times and I've highlighted her book. And as a focal point for this episode, and then I'll touch on 2 other books and guests I have in the works, I wanted to bring back up the biggest stumbling blocks that Heather says, the most common things that are concerns on farm family and their minds that really keep them stuck and not wanting to proceed with farm transition and starting the question. Again, chicken and an egg. If we don't have the answers, we tend to not want to talk about it. If we don't talk about it, we just cause problems. And sometimes that, hey, I don't know the answer. Here's my intention. I'm working to figure this out. So Heather shares, page 27 of her book, the 4 common things that stump farm founders are fair treatment to the kids, to the farm kids, farming kids and non-farming kids, senior care and income. How are they going to be able to survive financially and pay their senior care bills when the time comes if they're transitioning the farm? A lot of lack of clarity on that. And deciding who should take the lead on succession planning, who's researching, who's moving that ball forward, and who's making the decisions. Obviously, farm founders, but if the conversation's not happening, does Gen 2 have an honest conversation to start the ball rolling and say, this is what I'm interested in. I don't expect the farm for free, obviously, but can we figure this out? Because I would love to continue the farm family legacy. So that's number 3. Who's taking the lead? And in this book, and I love it because it's a parable and it's about a wolf family and a pig family. The neighbors are pigs. It's the cutest thing. And why I love it is because it makes it digestible and it takes like the human element out. So it's very easy to just relate to the wolves and then the squirrel, who's the transition guy, and then the piggy neighbors. It really makes it fun and takes the weight of our situation off our shoulders because it's fun. We're talking about wolves and pigs here, but yet we're completely understanding the material and the lessons. So that's what I love about her book. And actually, in one of the very first chapters, Heather openly says that very often dad and the way he's wired and the fact that he loves farming and the fact that he's busy farming, he doesn't want to have this conversation for a variety of reasons. And we're being stereotypical here, of course, but I do believe she shares a stat that 70% of farm transition plans are led by mom. Mom wants harmony because she's mom. She takes care of the harmony of her children and their relationships as well. So she wants to make sure that the elephant in the room is addressed, a plan's in place so that there is not that silent, unspoken tension in the family. So Heather says 70% of transition planning conversations are led by mom. And that makes sense. A lot of farm founders, dad, stereotypical, will avoid the conversation for a variety of reasons. Variety. And I could go into that, and that's probably another episode, but it's good to know that. Who's leading the farm transition planning? If we want it to happen, and dad doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't know what to say, how to bring it up, the emotions, the strategic. If he's too busy farming, does mom bring it up? Who's leading and getting the ball rolling on the transition plan for the farm? And logistics. Now that you know what you want, if the farm founders talk and they say, okay, we want the farm to continue, this is what we want, reviewing their individual situation, again, don't feel that you need a plan before you see the experts, because I think chicken and an egg, you're like, okay, I'm not talking to the expert because I don't have a plan. But here's the thing, a farm transition coach, somebody that actually does this and works with farm families on a day-to-day basis, they're going to give you ideas. You can literally, I know it's uncomfortable, guys, literally phone them up and say, here's our situation, here's our acres, here is the farming operation, here's our number of children, here's where we're at, we want to retire in this amount of time. And they can go, okay, well, here's a handful of solutions for you. I think sometimes before we even go to the experts, we think we need to have the answer. So again, we don't have the answer. So then we don't go to the experts. Vicious circle. So once you kind of have an idea, or you've approached a farm transition coach, specialist, whoever that is, somebody that actually works with this stuff and knows the various working pieces, finding the right people. I know Heather, I know Patty Duran, and I believe even all the other guests that have written books, probably have been on the show. They very often say, professionals out there are amazing. They know their job, but do they know farm law? Do they know farm taxation? Just because Bob at the accounting office in Little Town, Mississippi or Little Town, Manitoba is your accountant doesn't necessarily mean, he might be, but doesn't necessarily mean that he is the person that should be your sole professional on your farm transition plan. Again, it depends on the complexity and the goals. But very often, our guests that come on our show say, make sure you find somebody that knows what they are doing when it comes to farm transition. Don't just go see the local lawyer. Again, they may know. Ask them the question, how many succession plans do you work on? Same thing to the accountant. But finding a team that is specialized will make sure that you have the best knowledge on how to transition the farm based on your situation, the laws at play, everything you need to consider. So those are 4 things I like to always center back. And I've mentioned those points a few times because really, I think when it comes to it, that summarizes the main concerns of farm founders and why they don't get started. Fair treatment, senior care, how are they taking care of themselves when they transition the farm? Where's their income? How do they get it? What's that plan? Who's leading the conversation? Number 3. And number 4, who is going to help me? And I know here in Canada, which we have an audience that is worldwide, but North America wide, in Canada, we have an association called CAFA, Canadian Association of Farm Advisors. You can go to their website and it has professionals that are dedicated to working with farmers. So they'd be accountants, lawyers, et cetera, that have a focus on working with farmers, not downtown Toronto Bob that sees your farm transition and says, yeah, I can deal with it, because he may or may not. No stereotypes here, but we just want to make sure we're finding somebody with the expertise to guide us through as farm founders, right? Because we only do this once, maybe twice in our life. We don't know what we're doing, and that's natural, right? We wouldn't try and do our own heart surgery. You go to see a heart surgeon for that. Same with transition planning. Anyways, I think I've made my point there. And I just wanted to hammer that home, because so often we just think we need to be the experts, and then the experts that we have, we got to make sure that they are the experts for the job. So fair treatment to all the kids, senior income and care, deciding who should take the lead on the succession transition conversation, and how do we make this happen? Who helps us make this happen? Number 4. So that is the key things I wanted to talk about, a little bit of an update. I am tomorrow, so in the next coming weeks, I'm going to be speaking to Patty Duran again about her book, The Future Leader, The Successors Guide to Family Business Leadership. I've done a few conversations with Patty, one specifically about her book. And in the episode that we're recording tomorrow, we are talking about common incorrect assumptions about succession. Chapter 3 in her book. If you are a young farmer and you just don't even know where to start, get Patty's book. It is $20 or $30 that will just set you up to have a bit of knowledge on what you should be doing. What are the expectations? A bit of a roadmap for Generation 2 that wants to take over the family farm. So that's what Patty and I are going to be focusing on. I've picked my 5 favorite assumptions that I think are most common and the ones that resonate with me. So Patty's going to answer my questions and we're going to go through those. Oh, and one of them here. The one I'm most excited to talk about is my parents have a plan for transitioning the business to me, which they will reveal when the time comes. I'm excited to talk about that one. So tune in to that episode. And one other author I want to highlight, we are chit-chatting and I'm hoping to set up an episode with him shortly, is Nick Shady. He is from overseas, Australia, and he wrote this book. He has his own personal farm transition story. This book is really intense in a good way. It is thorough. It has a lot of information. The neat part is at the end of every chapter, he does a case study of different situations that have come up, good and bad. So really neat book, really detailed. If you want a lot of technical step-by-step knowledge without it being terribly dry, this book is a great one. And I can't wait to have Nick on the show. We're setting up those details. So if you want to know what's on my nightstand, these are the two right now. And of course, I'm always keeping an eye on other books. And with that being said, I want to give one more call out. I've mentioned it at the end of most of my solo episodes lately, is our transition planning reading list. It is a free downloadable ebook. If you go to farmmarketer.com, Impact Farming tab, and then go down to the bottom of the, I think, left-hand side, it says free resources. Pop your name and email in. We don't spam you. You'll just get this and some follow-up information. Then you're going to get my free guide that I put together. I, for years, have wanted to do this and finally sat down. I said, we just need to compile a bit of this information for farmers. There's so much good information out there about succession and transition planning. And it's not compiled. And by no means is this exhausted list of everything out there, because my goodness, I still have to go through and do round 3 and include some of our American guests, some new resources. But I wanted to do a good start, because when you're looking here and there, it's kind of like a needle in a haystack trying to find all these resources. So at the front of it, I include some of the main books, the guests that I have interviewed, am interviewing, and then I list some of the guests that have been on our show, their websites. There's some course recommendations there, I believe, and then also some free articles that other people have recommended that I found that I included. So if you're looking to try to stop going in the vicious circle, chasing yourself around in circles, I always say, if you're Gen 2, this is your future. Just like being in the workforce. What is our job when we go into the workforce? Well, we want to be the brightest, the smartest, the most prepared, the best effort for the job. So we're usually taking training, reading up, being savvy. So if this is your future and it's important to you, I always say, why not do the work? Because as Patty and I will discuss in the episode we're recording tomorrow and airing shortly, I think a lot of Gen 2 that want to take over the farm assume the farm founders have a plan and it's going to be revealed. When I don't think a lot of farm founders have time or know where to find this information, or can get out of the paralysis of fair and equal and all these questions. So for me, anytime in life, if I'm stuck somewhere, to me, it's always get knowledge. Because as soon as you download this ebook, as soon as you buy a book, as soon as you start reading, one, you're taking action, and that frees up stuck energy. I found as a business professional trying to make my way, building media companies, launching this show, starting businesses, investments. When you're stuck, do something. Go for a walk, download an ebook, buy a book, start reading. And then the beautiful thing, when you start taking action, frees up that stuck, frustrated energy naturally, because you're taking action, physical, mental. But you usually get the next nugget of an idea that says, oh, well, maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to actually tell my parents that I'm interested in buying the farm. Maybe I need to start a side hustle, start my own investments to make sure that I'm taken care of depending on what happens with the farm transition. So I have put this together. If you have any resources that you have found, a great article, a great guest that you would love for me to interview, let me know. I'm always trying to find the brightest minds, best ideas, to interview them, have them on the show, so we can all continue to build, maintain, create a lasting legacy that goes past farm founders to us and then for generations to come. That is my mission. I am on a mission and so excited to have you joining me each week for these episodes. So hope you enjoyed this. Download the ebook and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.
You've been listening to Impact Farming. For more great episodes and articles designed to help you manage and grow your farming operation, head on over to farmmarketer.com. Don't forget to sign up while you're there. We will see you on the next episode.